What's good, y'all? I think it's beautiful that people set expectations and goals for their life. For the past 2 years, I've been celibate. I haven't really entertained pointless conversations. I haven't really seen the need to try to get to know people and try to be close to people, because ultimately a lot of people my age, they don't know themselves, so there's no point in me investing my time in somebody that doesn't know themselves. So I was just making sure that I was 100% sure of who I was. And there were a lot of things I wanted to work on. No, I'm not better than anybody. I would never say that. I might do things differently that might be preferred, but that doesn't make me better. But now I'm at a point in my life where, so there's two reasons why I'm celibate. One, because I take intimacy very seriously, and I don't want to just be a part of somebody's list. I don't want to just be 10 years from the line or 10 years from now, somebody be like, yeah, I remember him. We had sex. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work out. Or even worse is just being sex, not even being with somebody. Like you're just being used for pleasure strictly. Nobody had any obligation to be with you, which I think is just terrible. But regardless, the second reason is because I want to value my wife enough to not be out here sleeping around and being with other women, exposing myself to other women when that's the most intimate thing I can share with somebody. And I'm very serious about this. I have a high standard for how a woman should carry herself. Not because I want to belittle her or think that I'm her, owner or anything. It's because I value myself and I hold myself to the same standard. And I've offended people before because they haven't fit into this idea of a woman that I have. And I mean, if they don't fit, then that's, you know what I'm saying, they don't have that opportunity with me. I'm not about to sit here and settle in some area on something that's non-negotiable. And there are certain areas where I have a preference, but I don't let my preference overtake like real, genuine characteristics of a wife that I want. I don't want somebody that's going to cause me headaches. I don't want somebody that's going to get me involved in drama. I don't want somebody that's always going to try to belittle me when they're upset. Like, I'm not about any of that. And in this past 2 years, I've really taken a real big deep on who I was. And one thing that I had to look into was passion. A lot of the time, our generation, we think love is equivalent to passion, and it's not. Love is definitely not something you feel. Love is an action. It's an act of respect. It's how you're willing to sacrifice your own, like how you feel. You're willing to sacrifice how you feel and what you want to do in order to not just please somebody else, but just to show them that you're willing to give up yourself for them in any circumstance. Because ultimately, without sacrifice in a relationship, it's never going to work. Somebody has to compromise at some point. And this isn't a one-sided thing either. It should always be mutual. It should always be understood to be mutual. And if somebody isn't sacrificing for you, then they're probably using you, or they're just not compatible with you. It's not going to be a long-term thing. And something really crazy is, this is what made me originally think about this. Like, we all have these ideas when we're with someone, or even before we get with someone. When we meet someone we're interested in, it's just natural to try to imagine what life would be like with that person months ahead, years ahead, etc. And ultimately, like, decisions have consequences. Every decision has consequences, good or bad. So I'm very appreciative for the lessons that I've learned in every situation I've been involved in, relationships, singleness, friendships, etc. But in this process of becoming a man, and I mean man in the sense of responsible, emotionally intelligent, respectful, honest, in this process of making sure that I'm solid always, not ever compromising truth for how somebody will feel about it. In this process, I've looked back on goals that I've had, and a lot of times the reason my goals fail was because of how I felt about the situation. I allowed feelings to compromise logic, and that's pitiful. Ultimately, I know someone that's getting married that should have been married and been married to somebody that's close to me. And the only reason they aren't married is because of how he carried himself in the situation. But that's life. Sometimes God's going to put you in a situation to teach you something. Yet there's a lot of times where we invest ourselves more than God intended for us to invest ourselves as fast as we do. And that allows us to get hurt. And that pain is from our own decision making. It's not on God for our pain. So I don't blame God for anything negative that's happened in my life, especially. I do thank Him for the opportunity to have met countless people, opportunity to have learned multiple lessons. But ultimately, in all of the hurt that I felt, there's not been a time where I could have gained anything had I not been celibate. If I would have been out here giving myself to people, I would have been hurting myself more. So I want to encourage people that if you're single, don't use this as a time to just have sex. Like, sex has a context and it has a purpose. And the context or the purpose aren't for pleasure outside of marriage. Like, a lot of people think that that's unrealistic because people are cheating when they're married. Like, you have to do some deep digging on who your spouse is. It's more than just who makes you happy, quote unquote, because the moment you think that you're not happy in your marriage, you're going to think you married the wrong person. When in reality, there's going to be good and bad days because y'all are both two different people. And two different people are always going to have two different sets of ways that they've been raised, two different outcomes and what they think is going to happen in situations. And that's just how life goes. So ultimately, I wish you all the best. I hope for the best for everyone. And don't regret anything you've ever done. But also, don't put yourself in a situation that you're going to look back on and wonder, what if? Because if you put yourself in a situation where you say, what if? I won't necessarily say you regret it. But ultimately, there's something in your mind that is curious. And if you're curious about something, you should... If you're curious about something that you can't change, you're wasting your time. And then you're going to hurt your own feelings again. And then you're going to go through the cycle of using other people to try to, get that same expectation out of them when it's not their job. So that's my piece for today. Save yourself for your spouse. Respect your future enough to compromise your own sexual desires for now. All these sexual desires are temporary anyways, in the sense of, if you feel like you want to do something, and 30 minutes from now you might not, if you're active. For example, I'm gonna go work out when I get back home, and I've already been to the gym. But if I was feeling a desire, I could go work out sooner in order to, go against that desire, tire myself out, stuff like that. But I don't even feel desires anymore because I know what that desire is for, and I want my wife. So I'm gonna keep waiting. I'm gonna keep praying. But hope y'all have a good one. That's all I wanted to say. I gotta buy some stuff for a little project, but bye y'all.